So this is my first live stream on YouTube. I thought I'd just do my predictions and whatnot just live, since I record them anyway. I'll be recording them during the stream, and then I'll just be watching the markets and then potentially place some trades as well. So I'm just gonna go through and have a look at what I'm looking at today. Today is the 10th of April. Have a look at this. We've got, look at Forex Factory, we've got CPI that came out at 1:30, that's British time, and then got FOMC meeting minutes, which is the smaller FOMC in the PM session, so definitely going to be a difficult AM session, and I'm probably not going to go into it with a very strong bias, but just going to see what we've got. Going to get rid of the annotations from yesterday. I'm actually just going to go through these as well. Here is saying I think it may continue lower. I'm just going to read through these myself. Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to get rid of these and I'll do this at the end of the day, because I haven't got long now till the next session, till the open. I'm just going to make sure this is actually streaming on the channel. Yeah, I'm just wondering how to actually pull up the live chat for this. If anyone comes in, I want to be able to see the live chat. Yeah, I don't actually know. Okay, well, I can just keep a tab in the other screen I've got. Right. Weekly chart, pass through the weekly fair value gap. Monthly, you got a monthly fair value gap down here. That's what I've been looking at in terms of the week so far. Got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday produced a move to the downside. Got the 4-hour fair value gap right here containing the move to the downside. Sweep liquidity on the highs. We come down to the lows so far. We have other area of liquidity back here. Potential to go for that. It's be a Wednesday high. If we look at the news for the rest of the week as well, got high impact tomorrow and the next day. And I'm really not expecting anything at the start of the session either, so I'm not too bothered about running into the session. At the moment we swept out buy side and sell side, so really not looking at anything important. The only thing I could do here is just continue to the downside, or consolidate. So, and I don't want to catch a trade continuing short because we're already taking out that significant sell side. So we need to show some kind of willingness to do something else. Nasdaq again, monthly fair value gap down there, with the daily fair value gap. I was a little bit surprised actually that it was supported in here, so I think we are going to continue down into those lows. That's very likely. Got the previous week's low right there, just shy of that. 4-hour chart. This is the 4-hour premium. Buy side liquidity taken. Also taken sell side right here, still shy of these relative equal lows. The fact, usually I'd like to see these swept instantly, and you could say, okay, I'll look for a continuation trade through into them. However, with the large move down like this, there's no reason to not take them straight away. So in a case like this, we're more likely to actually leave them and build up more sell-side liquidity than you're expecting right here, and that can come with larger retracements or more manipulation on the upside prior to then sweeping those lows. Because in this case, there was no reason for it not to move down to there. It was on a big run to the downside, and really, what was the difference with just coming a few points lower? And again, coming back into the range here, and it didn't want to aggressively move down to the lows. So, although there is sell side there, I'm expecting it to be less aggressive than you would otherwise expect. Looking at Dow next. Take all of this off. That's that sell side from yesterday. I wanted to see reach the buy side. Something interesting here are the relative equal highs that have been left. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think it'll be coming back up to them, to be honest. But it is interesting. Monthly fair value gap. Weekly chart. Come below the weekly lows. Last week was down here, and then again come below them. The previous week's lows today. 4-hour chart contained within this 4-hour fair value gap, not particularly important. Again, sell side liquidity taken. And now we're just engineering lows, so at the moment I just have a short bias, but not anytime soon. Nothing super convincing. Dollar charts. So we're at that sell side. Clear target, the high. There's not much else to say there. Support of these consecutive down close candles. Probably looking to fill in the monthly fair value gap right here. That's probably a good target for this week. Get rid of the annotations from yesterday. Come by a little bit of buy side here can be used to stall. No wick on this hourly candle. It's something to note. That's the 2 o'clock candle. Yeah, again, I'm just expecting upside, but nothing with any aggression. So at the moment, I'll just be looking for upside in dollar, downside in indices, but it'll be short-term upside in dollar. Short-term upside in indices. I want to see some highs get taken out more aggressively. Longer term, I am bearish, but at the moment, I'm just going to be following this to the upside as far as it wants to go. I do not want to be looking for continuations on this short move too early. Despite the fact that dollar may just continue to creep higher. So that's what I'll be looking for, but like I said, at the moment, really there's not a lot to be doing. Significant sell side taken out, significant buy side taken out. We could reverse and come all the way back up, come back up into these highs up here. That can happen. Just want to see how aggressive it is on its upside movement, but I don't see that as I would say I don't see it as majorly likely. That can happen, to be fair. The more I look at this, we do have a fair value gap over here, potential for supporting price. Yeah, do you know what? I want to see actually how this is supported. Like I said, Nasdaq, despite not coming underneath these lows, it doesn't need to, at least very aggressively. Essentially, I'm going to look at how we react underneath these lows. I do think we're going to work lower, but at the moment, there's really not much of a bias. we can see already S&P staying in the middle, Nasdaq's drifting higher a little bit, and Dow's moving lower. So got uncorrelated markets at the open. With FOMC coming this evening as well, it's definitely going to be a little bit harder and potentially just bad price action. So I'm just going to sort my screens out. figured out how to get that live chat up. I wanted to test the audio as well. I want to see how it is. Well, I'm using a headset with the mic. I'm not using like a standalone mic. I've actually got the chat up now in case anybody does join. I'm interested to see if even one person will join. I'm not sure. I know when I have been on YouTube, I just search live futures trading, see who's trading, and I generally don't see people with just plain charts. It's Bookmap or whatnot. Obviously, the stuff I've learned is ICT's work. Just to show as well, I've got two screens up here. This one right here has got S&P and Nasdaq, and on the other screen I've got Dow and dollar index. So those are the four markets that I'm watching. I just watch the correlation between the three averages, and generally I just record this screen when I record trades and whatnot, and I can just pull this over, and you can see right here I've got Dow's taken out those lows so far, so we've got a little bit of S&T on the downside there. Like I said, literally just going to follow this up. If we start coming back down, say we come back down to here, I'll probably just be seeing price come straight back up into those highs. So I'm really not convinced with any downside moves at the moment. Yeah, not convinced at all. I'm probably just going to be leaving this alone completely. It's just seems super dangerous to me with this large down move FOMC in the evening, but I just want to watch it anyway. Dollar index is working higher. Like I said, got that buy side target up there that we're very likely to go for. Marking buy side or sell side targets out with the yellow line. And if we hit them again, I mark them with the yellow line, sort of like an area of manipulation. Like I said, I wonder how niche this sort of live stream is, and if you just get people tuning in nonetheless. Quite like to tune into Trades by Matt and also Tanya Trades as well. That's what I enjoy doing. So obviously they've got a lot more experience. I'm trading on a Top Step combine. As far as my skills go, I'm very good at market analysis. So generally on the lower time frames, I can tell where price is going to go. I also know when to sit out and things like this. I've been doing that for quite a long time now, but my difficulty at the moment comes with piecing that together with a strategy, something that I can have rules with. So I have traded with specific models. But those have not they're not always done so well. I think they're way too mechanical and also just not allowing the flexibility which is needed. And my view at the moment is really that I believe that every mechanical strategy has some kind of discretion, but I believe that level of discretion needs to be quite high for a strategy to test the to be able to perform over a period of time. So I have a rough methodology that I'm working with at the moment in regards to a discretionary approach, but generally I want to just base it off of my understanding of price. And I'm just going to go back to the basics, which is just draw on liquidity, and then which is higher time frame buy side, sell side imbalances, and paired with manipulation, and then just 5 or 15 minute fair value gaps. It's going to be basically looking for retracement entries. So I need a nice target is essentially the first thing that I'm looking for, and today I just don't have it. Again, even if I could use the lows down here in S&P, it's way too close. Nothing certain. Could get a complete reversal off of this. In fact, a complete reversal would be one of the ways that I would get involved. If we could prove that actually we're going to move to the upside and that my higher time frame bias is wrong, which does happen quite a lot of the time. Once we prove that, then I'll look for those longs, and that kind of trade can actually be quite good as well. Just because you know that you're on the opposite side to the majority of people. If you've predicted the bias as short, like I have, and all of a sudden price produces, say you're patient in not taking that short, and then price shows the clear characteristics that actually it is going to go long. What would have happened to you is, even though it showed you the clear characteristics, you probably would have been in, say, a short anyway. And then when it's showing you those characteristics that's going to go long, you're actually in the process of getting stopped out. So, and you're not willing to flip your trade mid-trade. You're looking to let your short run. You're blinded by the fact that you're in a short anyway. And then essentially, by being patient and not being in the market at that point, it's flipped on the original idea you had. It's made your idea a losing idea, and now you can actually capitalize on that. So that's something that can happen quite a bit, which is that that you have, or I have, a daily bias and it's completely wrong, and oftentimes it can be proved wrong at the open as well. And I'll know straight away when I'm wrong, and look to adapt on that. So yeah, I just want to be sure of what direction it's looking to go in. I'll just have a higher probability chance, and then I'll look to engage. At the moment, like I said, there's not proven that any upside is good. Although I do think we'll continuously have these stabs up into short-term highs, which will be looking to stop people out who are trying to get in short. Here's a good example with this nice push to the downside. Very, very likely to take out that high. People are saying, oh, okay, yeah, come down, they're watching the 1 minute chart, bang, there's your displacement, cool, they're trying to enter short, we'll be coming back into that high. So I think we're basically just going to continuously take out short-term highs. And yeah, there's not a lot else I'm looking for at the moment. You could look to take a little long, but again, you're taking it against some really nice lows, and yeah, just not interested at all. Like I said, this is a good area for it to go back into the high here as well. If we look at Dow's been constantly moving lower, taking out some AM intra-session sell side. You can expect price at some point to come back into a short-term high, which will lead these markets back into their short-term highs. Dollar's just shy of its daily high, just up here. Yeah, I can mark out a buy side target here. It's a short-term buy side target. There you go. You can see what we've been supported in that 15-minute fair value gap right there. So this is an example of the kind of trade that I want to be in. This kind of thing, again, I'm just not interested with the state of how it is, but retracement down into a 5 or 15-minute fair value gap, 15-minute sell side taken, and then ideally I'd have a better buy side target, and I'd have a higher time frame buy side target up here. In that eventuality, this would be great. I would have also wanted some level of manipulation here. on the lows, which we haven't really got either. So that's why I'm not taking this trade. This is also good as well when a retracement in Nasdaq or S&P meets a session stop run. So a run on inter-session lows right here at the same time as a retracement, and then again, like I said, you're likely to pull back into the range, back up into some short-term highs like these ones, which will mean it will seek those highs, and then you just see, can you get that continued run? And just an example here for a trade is underneath the 50%. You could be taking it on the premium. Oftentimes I take it one tick below a significant low. It's not really a significant low, and this would have to be well down here, something like that. You got 5-minute fair value gap there, consecutive down close candles. Got 15-minute. You could probably even squeeze it up to there, and that would be fine. And to be honest, that's not all that bad in Nasdaq. Got a decent risk on that. You can take a partial at the high. At this point, I'd be looking for follow through. See if we can get some aggressive follow through. Wouldn't bother leaving the stop loss open here, so it would be partial right there above that high, which would be 0.9, and then move to break even. See if we can start breaking out that range. So we just tried to get up into that short-term high and down. But like I say, a good example of where price comes down is when fair value gap continue to the upside. I mean, in all seriousness, that trade wasn't that bad of a trade. Obviously, it's a hindsight thing. I like the characteristics of Dow moving down into its inter-session lows with the retracement. And to be fair, if we'd had sort of some relatively equal highs up here or something like that, then maybe. But really, there's it's not very high probability, so I'm not particularly interested. At least we know at the moment the order flow is switching bullish to a certain extent. So, and again, if we're gonna come back up into here, we can get some like big pushes up, and then start like forming some short-term highs, and then pull back down to a 15-minute and continue to the upside. That would be something I like to see. If I do get a setup, I'd be going in with just a few contracts, 2 contracts in S&P. That'd be micros, or a couple of them in Nasdaq. So again, here you'd be looking to see, okay, we've come above this area, we've had a stop run once, we've come above it again. Do we now want to expand up into the range, or are we just going to sit around in this area? And my assumption is that we're going to do more sitting around, although it's not necessarily clear. So I'm just going to mute my mic and sit here and wait. Just want to note here as well, the idea behind taking a trade long here and taking the partial. So we'll look to take the partial above that high. I will only generally what I'm looking at the moment is only taking a partial once 2 out of 3 of the markets have reached that same liquidity pool. You can see that happens on the same candle. Now at this point, obviously, like I said, I have no interest. I would have no interest in sitting in it. But what I would be looking for is a final take profit if Dow can reach up into these highs. Oftentimes that would be, say, the high of the AM session. In this case, it actually is. It's just regular trading hours, so a little bit different, but essentially the market that's furthest from its buy side, in this case being a long, when that one reaches it, then or if that one can reach it, then I would take the final profit there. So essentially letting a large portion of that trade run. See, it's probably going to come back to break even, which would be where this 15-minute fair value gap is. Like I said, not a lot of range in here at all. It might be in terms of points. What have we got? I don't think we actually have a lot of range in terms of points. Yeah, I mean, even so, the regular trading hours range in S&P is only 18.5 handles, but this range here is 32 handles. And that's just because this move has been so big. It's just over 100 handle move. Really not a lot to be seeing in here. You got this 5-minute fair value gap sort of containing price at the moment. We had Dow come up into some relative equal highs in here, or it had some relative equal highs. It engineered another high, swept them. Now, potential downside down to the low. And dollar's still pumping higher, just shy of that buy side target. Like I said, I don't think these markets are going to reach their sell side anytime soon. That's that daily high in dollar. Like I said, really nothing else to be watching here. No clear buy side or sell side target. In some ways I wish I'd got into this long trade here, but that's not too big of a problem. Yeah, probably should have my eye on the 15-minute chart a little bit more. I kind of missed this 15-minute fair value gap when it was forming, and just because this movement up was so slow. Yeah, it actually formed as soon as this big down candle started. Anyway, like I said, just continued presses higher is what I'm expecting in the short term. Apparently I've got a viewer. Hi. You're probably the first viewer on this live stream or on this channel at all. Just watching the S&P, Nasdaq and Dow at the moment. I was just outlining before about this move up into short-term highs from this 15-minute fair value gap. Looking at how, although we do have relatively equal lows down here, the large push down into them should have gone straight down into them. And since it hasn't, more likely to get short-term moves to the upside. And that's what I'm looking for at the moment. Although my higher time frame bias is to the downside. So that's all I was looking at. Again, talking about Dow coming down into the AM intra-session lows, and looking for a pop back up into some short-term highs. So I'll look for the pop back into this high, this high here, just that move up here, and then a potential follow through on a remainder of position taken from here up into these highs in Dow, which I find unlikely, not without struggle at least. But like I said, really not looking to engage anything today, but that is what I'm looking at. And I wonder who this viewer is. I wonder if it's one of the 2 subscribers that I have on the channel, or not, or a random person. If you want to put a comment in the chat, go for it. Anyway. Like I said earlier, dollar buy side target, daily high. Reached that so far. That was the only target on the upside. I said that indices likely wouldn't be going lower despite dollar just moving to the upside slowly. That's exactly what's happened. And I also mentioned uncorrelated markets at the open as well. We can see that right here. Essentially, S&P stayed still more than Nasdaq has. Nasdaq has headed to the upside a little bit more than S&P. They've pretty much both stayed still. And you can see the Dow has headed to the downside since the open. And really that's the most clear if you change over to regular trade hours. You can see we've got a little bit more upside here. Or actually maybe even a little more upside in S&P even. And then downside in Dow. So again, just using the 5-minute fair value gap here to measure sentiment. You can see the support with the bodies right there. Also looking at the 50% of this range. Got the 50% marked out on Nasdaq. We'll also mark that out on the S&P just as a significant area to potentially be moving back into. My honest opinion is I don't know if we're going to actually seek these lows during the AM session. Like I said earlier, we could have these big pushes down into some sell side. Again, like a big push down into the sell side right here. We do have SMT right now as well, something to note. And then just potentially not take out the lows and come all the way back up. That's definitely something that could happen. If we can do that kind of thing, if we can leave some buy side up here, come down into these lows, and then start moving back up into the highs, then I'll just take a long. Other than that, I'm not looking to take any shorts. I think there's a lot of people looking to take shorts continuing down to these lows. The only shorts where you'd want to be targeting lows is in Dow, with Dow being weaker. Potentially target these lows again. For now, there's really not a lot to go off of 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart here in Nasdaq. Again, really it's only the 15-minute supported price so far. That was the only nice move you really had. You had this big push down. A lot of people looking on the 1-minute chart trying to go short, displacement, take out that high. And again, I said on a theoretical position there, you want to move to break even. Wouldn't want to be sitting in this, especially with all the sell side down here. and you'd be looking to target the highs up here in Dow, take the position off in Nasdaq when it hits that. There you go. I guess that view I had was a normal person, not someone, not one of the two friends that I've got who've subscribed to the channel. It's cool. I'm gonna quiz them, see if it was one of them or a random person. Like I said, I'm interested to see if people just randomly tune in. I'm interested to see what the how many people are actually interested in watching something like this. I know there's a couple other streams and they have quite a good amount of viewers. And yeah, I wonder what's the likelihood that people just tune into a random stream like this. Like I said, really nothing to be doing here, so I'm just gonna continue waiting. Hello, I've got one viewer on the live stream. I wonder if it's the same viewer as before. You are the second viewer today. Not sure if it's the same guy before. Watching the S&P and Nasdaq. Got Dow up here as well. Watching those three averages. Using ICT concepts. Pretty good run using them. Not really playing. That's the mic giving out there. Not really planning on taking many trades just because of the conditions today. CPI, large down move here. Looking at a 1 minute chart here. Prediction for the day was just price moving to the upside, kicking out any early sellers trying to get down into the further lows. I don't know about a full-on reversal. There is a chance for it to come all the way back up, but at the moment, really, the only AM objective is pushes to the downside and then followed by moves back up into those short-term highs. So I had an example of one right here in Nasdaq. Get that push down, 15-minute fair value gap, and then a continuation back up to the high to punish anyone trying to look for the equal lows to be swept in here. Again, decent buy side right here. And feel free to tell me your reason for tuning in as well. You can stick that in the chat. I'm interested. Like I was saying earlier with the Nasdaq trade, I didn't place it just because there isn't a solid high time frame bias. Again, lower time frame, I could be looking for upside moves, which is what I said, but I haven't got a higher time frame bias of upside, so I'm really not interested in taking those long trades, at least not yet, until it's proven it does want to seek the buy side. But theoretically, taking this trade, if I'd had higher time frame buy side target, this was the area where I said initial partial be taken and then move to break even, because I wouldn't want to see it come back into this area. It can come back in, but really it's just going to be messing around. And I said that the trade would be taken off if Dow could reach these little highs up here, so I correlate the target with Dow, and that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for by way of a trade, just obviously with a higher time frame bias as well, which I haven't got at the moment, so hence why I didn't take that trade. So yeah, at the moment just still waiting and watching. Got a little high up here, very likely to be taken. I've got the 50% of these ranges marked out on S&P and Nasdaq. These are the two markets I'm watching primarily. Likely to actually move up into those areas. We've proven we're moving to the upside to some extent back into the range, that we're not seeing an aggressive bearish market. That was kind of proven at the open anyway. You can see in Nasdaq we had those relative equal lows. Prior relative equal lows, and then also engineered another relative equal low with this big movement down right here. Came back up, swept to some short-term highs. That should be all it really needs to then come down to those lows. Didn't want to do it, so at this point you know you're going to seek some kind of further buy side, and there isn't any available here, which is why I know that we're going to engineer some, like in this case, this displacement down, and then take it out, and likely to do that a fair few amount of times. This is something I quite like here, with this buy side being engineered. Got some nice relative equal lows. You come down and sweep those and move back up into the highs. Got down nearing that buy side target I said you'd be waiting for that final portion of the trade. And dollar's already hit the buy side target I mentioned. Had this marked out at the start just to follow through into the short-term high, and then also the higher time frame buy side target, which is on the daily chart right here. And I said it's likely to work its way through to that monthly fair value gap premium as well at some point. Should see Dow continue pushing through to those highs. And generally what price does as well, when we're working back into a range like this, or just retracing into any kind of a range, I can actually show an example right here. This is how I see price. We'll come down like this. We'll start coming back up. You've got to think people are looking to sell on a retracement of this range. So we'll come back up something like this. Maybe we'll push to the downside. People will be looking to sell this, sell into it. Maybe it's up here instead. Anyway, there is a point where we come up, we stop them out, we come just back in, and they're thinking, okay, I got stopped out. Maybe I'm actually right again. But there is a point where, and you will have noticed it when you get stopped out, price just then starts running, and you wonder why does price just start running at that point. And to me, it's sort of the last point where now everyone would be looking to flip bullish. If we could sort of, in this case, if we got, say, highs up here and we start pushing up here, and then we come down again, everyone's looking to then go bullish up into the high. So there's a point during this range after a retracement, and then people trying to get in short, where once it takes out some highs, then it does start expanding. And you can generally tell the speed of a market based on that as well. So you can see in this case, we've come up into highs, up into highs again, into highs again, into highs again. At some point, you'd actually expect price to start expanding to the upside, and the fact that it isn't is indicative that really we're in a slow market and we're more likely to have these big pushes down into some short-term lows and then a big push back into the short-term high. But I reckon we can actually see it. I reckon I can actually see it on which day? Yesterday's a good example. Again, you got this push up right here. You get a retracement down. Get these pushes back up. Again, an attempt right here. And you think, okay, well, once it starts coming below these lows, people are now going to know actually we're probably not upholding this range for a retracement for a continuation. And at that point, it gives you no chance to get on board, and it starts moving down to the lows. Granted, it does move a lot lower here, but even so, again, you can kind of see it right here. Range pulls back slowly, again pushes back down, and then as soon as it breaks past a specific high, then it starts expanding. So let's actually see if there's another example here as well. And what you really want to do is you really want to be on board with this as well. Again, here's kind of an example. Push up, you get some retracements back down, gives hope of higher prices, makes a stop run on that significant low once, and then once it goes and takes that one out, now people will be thinking, okay, actually we are probably going to violate the lows of the range. And so what it does is it starts speeding up and it starts expanding. And usually this kind of move happens past the 75% mark of the range. So if you split this into quarters, it usually starts expanding when we go past the 75% mark. In this case, we expanded past the 50%, stopped at 75, and we're essentially just stalling because we're consolidating for the day. But you can see it actually in this previous range right here, in this high and low. You can see we tap the 75%, and then as soon as we start coming past it, that's when we get that expansion up into the high. So it starts picking up speed. People finally get the right idea of where it's going, and then by that point it's too late. But so long as this doesn't do that, I'm still expecting some sharp moves down to some lows and then moves back up into the highs. And that's what I'm watching at the moment. So far everything's, although it's crap, everything's made sense. Still not expecting much to happen here. Again, just still looking for the continuation up into short-term highs, potentially some sharp stabs down to short-term lows prior to that. We can leave some of these highs in. Much more interested in potentially taking along back up into the highs, but had that opportunity earlier. and obviously avoided that based on the lack of higher time frame bias to the upside. Generally, my higher time frame bias is lower. My short-term bias is just following price up into short-term highs. I don't think we're going to move down to those lows anytime soon. We could be waiting all the way until the PM session. So ideally what I see is proof that we're going to have an entire reversal, which we're not too sure about yet, and then some short-term highs, short-term buy side as well, and then look to trade into that with a 15-minute or 5-minute fair value gap. So that is what I'm looking for. And I've got one viewer at the moment. I think we've had 3 viewers so far, so not bad for a first stream. If you want to ask anything, go ahead. I've put a lot of time on these charts. I've got a pretty good analysis of the charts at the moment. I'm just sort of fitting that into a proper rule set. So I've had a few sets of rules that I've worked with. Have not worked out as much as I'd like, but just finding that balance between discretion and so-called mechanical strategy. So I've basically gone back to the basics, and this is what I'm working with right now. I'm just working with a higher time frame bias, 5 or 15-minute fair value gaps with a retracement entry, and potentially some lower time frame liquidity pools as well. Lower time frame draw and liquidity. That's essentially all I'm working with. This trade earlier was a good example of something I'm looking at. Just lacking a few points. And today's not exactly the highest probability day either, but 15-minute fair value gap right here in Nasdaq. See our price pull back into it to then go long. We had this sharp move down. This is the first stab down that we really saw after this push down. So again, obviously people are going to try and get in short here. We're looking at a potential breaker structure on the 1-minute chart, which means we're very likely to go back up into that high. So that's a nice long run there. You can also see the short is coinciding, or the low is coinciding with the low of this 5-minute inversion fair value gap as well. So likely to head back up into the high. Again, still looking for these highs to get hit. And then I was mentioning, so a partial would come off here. I think it's about 2R for the trade that I sort of printed on the screen for a second, and then I'll be waiting for the rest of the position. I'll take that off when Dow hits its high, which is actually going to be this one right here. So actually, I would probably be waiting a little bit further. There'd be not enough R. We've actually synced up in Dow with Nasdaq, but nonetheless, after that partial break even would have been moved to, because there's no point waiting for it to come back into this range and mess about here. So yeah, realistically, I'd probably actually look to target the midpoint of this range. So actually, just to draw in the trade again, it's the 15-minute fair value gap right here. The stop loss was at this 15-minute order block low right here. That's a partial 1 point above the high, something like that. It's about 0.9 off, and then a final position would come off at the 50% mark up here. 3.36, so it'll be 1 point. Was that 1.65 plus 0.9, 2.55 R from a trade like that, which is pretty good. So, but like I said, lacking the higher time frame premise, so I was really not interested in that. Just looking at how we react above these highs. We come by some buy side in all of these markets. Like I I said, I'm less interested. I'm less inclined to take shorts down into these lows, and I know there's relative equal lows down here on the higher time frame. We've engineered a new low. But like I was saying at the start of the stream, if we wanted to take out those lows, we would have done it initially with this big push down. We had the opportunity. There's no reason not to go there and just push a few more points. And again, we had another opportunity right here to go for it, and we didn't want to do that. So I'm less inclined to look for that, especially considering we have FOMC in the PM session. So I'd more like to actually take a long. So again, if we can get something convincing, more convincing than this as well, to the downside, and we start to flip on that, perfect. I'll look for a continuation into buy side. And I've got a poll up on the chat as well. Just says having a good day today. Feel free. Person's dipped. They weren't having a good day. They're gone. See you later. I tuned in for quite a while. How long were they tuned in for? Yeah, it was quite a bit of time. Can't necessarily see. Yeah, I'm just going to move away from the charts for a second. I'm going to keep the stream running, but essentially just going to go on mute just for a little bit. So I just come back and I just want to see what I'm dealing with here. Um, let's have a look. So from earlier about this this point where it just starts expanding above. Here is an area where you could say, right, we'll be looking for shorts. We'll look for some shorts down to some short-term lows. So it's definitely an area where you could be looking for that. For me, like I said, I don't like the lows that are down here. I would rather see price come short and then start making its way back up into the highs. And I'd take a trade long back up into that. I'd much prefer to see that. We also haven't got to the premium of this range either, back up to the 50%. At the moment, dollar is moving up back towards this short-term high. It previously swept out this old daily high, came off of that, come back down, put it into a 15-minute, yep, down to a 15-minute fair value gap. And then started moving away to the upside. Really, we don't have to do anything here. We've already taken out that buy side target. There's no need to go anywhere. There's no reason to do it. I think we're more likely to be honest, I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm seeing here. Like I said, I think we're more likely to continue higher just in general as to whether it's going to do it right now or not. I don't see anywhere for that price to actually return to. There's really not a lot in here to actually reference. We had the sweep of this range. We do have some nice lows down here. I think probably more likely to actually come and seek some of these lows. Again, we've got some really nice lows down here as well in S&P. So if you want to do a quick scalp towards those lows, I think that would be relevant. Formed an hourly fair value gap as well. Come back up into that. Again, some could look for some shorts. And again, actually some relative equal lows down here as well. Very likely to continue through to that, I reckon. We should be having a continued push actually to the downside. This could be quite fast. You can see these lows here also on Dow. I'd expect price to come down into those also. So actually, I'm expecting quite a big push here. Actually got a 5-minute fair value gap here that's being formed. Haven't got one in the S&P. I want to see how does the S&P react underneath this low. I've got a small 5-minute fair value gap here as well. Some nice sell side taken. I'd like to see this sell side taken in S&P. If we don't take this right now, we start pushing back up. Again, that can just lead to a setup later on where we come down, sweep out these some relative equal lows, and then go long. So I'm not bothered about being wrong in the short term like that. That's not my concern. Really, to get any longs started, I need a big push to the downside, and we're not really seeing that right now. I want to see if we can push really quick underneath this low. Still want to see this low taken out. We're getting very close to this low in Dow, so I think we're going to continue with some lower prices. And I mean, not that we're going to. We've got a 5-minute fair value gap here, but if we could pull back into there, that's this, and stop here. This is somewhere I'd like to get involved to go short. Got the lows hanging just here, lows just here in Dow, and yes, we've come down to this low, but already closing through that. I'm actually going to bring up the Nasdaq market. There's that flush down. Still want to see Dow hit its lows. Now you could be looking for a reversal here, back up into the highs. So it's something you could definitely be looking for right here, 15-minute order block. I'd want to see how price is able to stop right here. I want to see a bit of a follow through right here, just Dow, 5-minute fair value gap right there. To me, this strikes me as the sort of market that's just going to keep on following through rather than turn around. We have taken out some nice sell side. The only thing stopping me from taking a trade long is the lack of a higher time frame buy side target. But this is a really good risk trade. I want to take a trade long here. Could probably do it in Nasdaq. And do you know what? I'm actually going to enter 4 right there. So I'm entering 4. Which is right here. Stop loss is going to be down there. Got a 15-minute fair value gap down there. Essentially, I want to see it evade that and reverse back up into the highs. That's what I'm looking for. An order block in here. In all fairness, there isn't really anywhere necessarily pulling back to in this. I want to see a quick turnaround essentially, or it's just going to melt through instantly. We get down to this point though, I'm going to exit out of the trade. Very small amount of risk. Come back into this 5-minute in Dow. Does kind of feel like it might just melt low. It just passed through that fair value gap quite easily. But that push down was just pushing down into that 5-minute. That's still permissible. And really, I'd like to see a sharp turning point right here. I need to click go on my actual recording as well. There you go. You can see I've actually got that trade on. And trade of 8. Like I say, I want it to evade this 15-minute fair value gap, just be pulling back into this 5, and turn around and start coming back towards the highs. Very, very small amount of risk for a large amount of reward. So just going to see if this wants to work out or continue falling lower. This is the first serious area with a drop off. So can expect it to get overrun back up to the upside. Really nice delivery there in Dow. Reaction from that 5-minute fair value gap. Got a 5-minute fair value gap there. If it wants to go lower, it would be from this point. It would stay very, very heavy. But I am looking at these lows here in S&P and thinking we're probably not just going to find some resistance there. I don't know, because the thing is the S&P hasn't really got anywhere that it's returned to. So that is my concern in the S&P, that it potentially wants to just keep on going. And if it wants to keep on going, it'll probably be all the way down here. It's going to seek, and we would just see the lows hit, in which case I would just be wrong. But generally, I think everyone will be looking to actually seek those shorts. This price action here in S&P doesn't look good for my long. I think if we come past this low really in Nasdaq, then it's also not going to be good. So I could cut it early. We had the nice bounce in Dow. Generally, I like to see a quick reaction from the area I'm looking for, just because I'm a retracement entry and I'm looking to take out a very significant sell side in this case. Have come back to 50% of the range. Just give it a little bit of breathing room and see if it wants to run. And I'm ready to exit the trade at this point if it doesn't want to work out. Yeah, it's not looking as good as it did before. See, Dow has pushed through that 5-minute fair value gap. Has not found initial support there, so if it wants to go lower, it'll do so right now. It'll start expanding to the downside. And that will just be the short bias is wrong. I'm just going to give it some room to play. I've got my stop in right here. I said I'll take 2 contracts once 2 of the markets reach their AM high. Really, I think possibly just yeah, and then I'll take the last 2 off if the third one can get up into its high essentially. At the moment, you've got dollar that's actually pushed back up into that high right here. Like I said, the trade is not looking like it's going to work out. Melted through the fair value gap that I was looking to support price in Dow. 5-minute fair value gap is closed through as well. It's not closed anywhere of particular interest. You can always colour outside the lines, that's something to bear in mind. But generally I want to see a big reaction here after sweeping out this sell side. Very, very close to this sell side here in S&P as well. If once we hit this sell side, then it'll be a very, very quick expansion to the downside, so just something to note. I definitely want to note that I feel like I'm on the wrong side of the market as well. I was saying that I would have at least expected some kind of push back up to the upside after sweeping out these lows, so we haven't got that yet. Five-minute candles are still reasonable. It's just very, very messy in the other 2 markets, in S&P and Dow. So very difficult to tell. We come back down to that 5-minute fair value gap here. Here's where we want to find support, if we're going to find any. I was also looking at Dow and how it'd come down into this area. And then it's peaked just over the bottom of that, just to reach this 1-minute fair value gap right here. So really this would be the last area I would want to see it push away from any lower, and you could definitely consider just taking that position off. It looks like price is not going to sustain those higher prices. Definitely consider taking 2 contracts off here. This is pretty much a losing trade. should be price pushing through towards that 15-minute fair value gap down here. More importantly, that sell side we see there in S&P will be the stop loss hit. I actually ended with a little bit too many contracts. I've just exited actually half of those. Exited that break even thereabouts. Dollar's just starting to push higher. Just really can't find support in here. Keeps on stopping, but we're leaving lows in here now. Very likely to continue through to them. You can see because S&P didn't react underneath the sell side, it's not significant enough, so it needs to see some kind of other sell side. So it will work down into this low right here, which means Dow will work down into this 15-minute fair value gap, which is actually where I've got my stop losses, relying on it not pulling back down to that 15-minute fair value gap to have the right risk for the trade. So pretty much guaranteed to get stopped out here as it takes out this low. Here we go, going to get that expansion underneath the low. Going to see the expansion underneath this low, down to further sell side, down to that 15-minute fair value gap and the stop loss. Yeah, not looking to stay in on this trade. That will get hit. You can see right here as well, coming down towards sell side. Doesn't actually have to take that low technically. It's not necessary. Reaction under that low is nice. Like I said, so long as the 5-minute candles can stay inside this 5-minute fair value gap, it's technically fine in Nasdaq, and I don't have an area for it to return to in S&P, so it could still work out and just be kind of confusing, but yeah, I don't see a lot of hope for it, to be honest. I see the fact that these have all worked much lower. They want to go for some kind of sell side. We can see here in the case of Dow, it's likely to close outside of any fair value gaps that we've got in here. So I think we're pretty likely to seek that stop loss. It should be refreshing seeing someone have stop loss hit on a YouTube live stream for once. There's Dow continuing down underneath the wick that it's got. Again, still wants to seek some kind of sell side, to be this level right here. 5-minute candles closing really low. No reason not to rush off to the downside. Like I said, I had a decent reaction here, but really not stopped anywhere of any importance. 5-minute bodies still contained within this 5-minute fair value gap, which is encouraging. Who knows? potentially going to get a large stab up here. You can see that coming to seek this high. Again, 5-minute bodies are still contained here. They close just below. That's fine for Nasdaq. It often does that. Reacting from this low, which is nice. Let's just see what kind of reaction we get here. Obviously, with any downside moves like this, you're bound to get these pushes up. So that's what I'm kind of just expecting. What we just saw in short term. I feel like it should reach up into this high. Really not reached any buy side here in any of these three markets. And I'll just see if I get any follow through. One thing I'm considering is if you should take a partial at this high, 0.7. So we took it there, 0.7, and the rest like up here. It'll still be like 2.1R. I think I'll just judge how price is looking at that point if it can get there. We'll see. Also worth mentioning that as part of the market maker sell model, if this is an area, the original consolidation we're trying to come down into, you will get this like a stab up right before that final push down to sell side. So that might be what this is. We'll have to see. And it didn't look that great because it pushed up quite aggressively and then pulled back straight off of that high. Again, you can see the same thing here in S&P. So it didn't sustain any of that bullishness. So note that here I'd want to see price start pushing aggressively to the upside. Got that 15-minute fair value gap. I don't want to see a reaction there. We have got this sort of like breaker, look, this breaker structure, breaker, people trying to go short here. We've got a 15-minute fair value gap right here as well, so it would be nice to actually see a push, continued push through, rather than a reaction to the downside here. Reaction to the downside, and it's very likely going to hit that stop loss. But I feel like people who are going short right here, they've got their stop loss at about the midpoint, so a little bit higher, and potentially at this high. That's why I was considering an area to take early profit, which is this 5-minute fair value gap right here. 1.44 will be 0.7 off. I'd like to see, if we can get up there, I'd like to see how Dow is pushing up towards highs. Because the next area to pull back into is actually this 5-minute here. We are going to leave a 15-minute, let's put these at the back. We are going to leave a 15-minute fair value gap right here. Again, I would have expected some kind of short-term highs, which we haven't hit yet here. And once we get through this high, I'd like to see that expansion start. I don't really want to see a reaction here. Looks like it is going to have one. I'd rather not see that fair value gap left open in Dow. It looks like it is going to do it. You can see there 16 seconds. There's that fair value gap left. Also fair value gap reached here in S&P. That's a 15-minute fair value gap that we reach back into. Expect to see it take out this high. Still not interested in taking profit way too early, despite the fact that it's run. Also despite the fact this could be the area that it turns around at, just not interested. Needs to run a little bit further than that. And even with a retracement here, people are still interested in looking at that short. Just broke into the new 15-minute candle as well. Have got relative equal lows down here in S&P. Something to bear in mind. Essentially, this just rests on which way the higher time frame bias is, which is not amazingly clear. Just gonna pause the video for that. Cow's just coming down into some lows. And seems likely to sweep up over these lows. I feel like we're going to get that expansion down now. Move under that short-term low. Got this low next. I just don't see anywhere for it to stop in here to not come down into these, into the AM sell side. The engineered sell side here is quite good, so. But again, looking at Nasdaq, relative equal lows down here. S&P, you got relative equal lows, so not a lot of hope for this trade. Which I said quite a while ago. Definitely could have taken off. Could have taken off 50% at that high to make it a free trade, but I want to hold out for a little bit more profit at minimum. very likely to run through here and hit stop loss. Just had that low taken in Dow, expecting the follow through down to these lows. Again, I guess at any of these points I could get out of break even, but I want to just leave it running. For the sake of not taking myself out winning trades, which does a lot more damage than being able to cut losers. Expecting that run down to the low. You can see that really nice reaction off of the 15-minute fair value gap, more specifically in S&P. Really, really nice. Exact tap. Same thing on Dow. See Dow, it was a newly created 15-minute fair value gap. Came back up. Potentially much more applicable trade to have taken being the short with the relative equal lows below in all of these markets. Potentially a better trade to have taken. And that's along with a higher time frame direction as well, being the sell side liquidity. So although I thought there was going to be more trickery at play this session, and actually see price trade up to the upside again. Looks like it is going to favour that downside movement, and that was the best direction to actually be trading in. So seeing that run down in Dow. Run down towards these lows. Again, nowhere in here I expected to stop. It could stop short term and turn around. That'd be pretty much just pure luck. And then it could come back up to the high up here, manipulate. I'll be taking a profit. If we can get back up to there, it'll be an early profit. Based on that logic. Dollar's just continuing to the upside. Buy side was already hit. So the monthly fair value gap that I was saying was likely to be hit next. So I decided to take a trade against that correlation anyway. This should be expansion into the stop. That'll be sell side hit in down. There'll be some sell side hit in S&P as well. potentially a chance of pulling back up to the area for a partial, just up here. Yeah, there's a chance for that. I'm just measuring what it's looking like. Got a 5-minute fair value gap right here. Got those roads of equal highs. Probably wait for those roads of equal highs. Let's take a partial if we can get back up there. Not sure if we can. Just have to wait and see. But that would be the area to target. So yeah, if we can hit those, then I will get one tick above that. Then I will look to take a partial. Other than that, it might just ride over the top of this and go short again. But at the moment it is pushing bullish. Got that 5-minute fair value gap, may just find resistance there. That's where I'd expect us to find resistance, to come down to the low. We've come very, very low, taking out lots of areas sell side, so can definitely expect sharp pushes to the upside prior to continue downside anyway. But just in case it does want to get up there, that would be the area that I'm looking at. So far we've just pulled back to that 15-minute fair value gap here. And the 5-minute in S&P. So we have not violated any premium arrays at all. It's following suit for continued downside. This looks like that last push in Dow before it seeks that AM sell side. Looks like that's what that was. See, I came back up into that 15-minute fair value gap perfectly. Started moving away short. Hello, we've got a viewer in the live stream. I'm just waiting for this trade to hit stop loss actually, and it didn't wanna do that. It looks like it might actually head to the partial level. This is the level that I'm watching. Take one contract if it hits this area. Ideally, I actually want to hit the relative equal highs in S&P up here. Really didn't have any faith in the trade after it was moving about like this for this long. But with my trading, I tend to stop myself out more. I tend to do more damage, stop myself out early, take myself out of trades early than I do from just taking losses. So I prefer to just let it hit stop loss rather than take myself out early, even if I don't think it's a good trade. So that's just how I view it at the moment. There's a lot of reasoning behind this trade. To me, I wanted to pan out a lot sooner. Didn't want to do that. Ultimately, Dow here came a lot lower than I expected to. I actually want to find support in here. Everything else was correct for the day, just continuously moving to the upside, but I didn't expect such a large move down. I didn't really want to see the AM lows taken. They haven't yet, so maybe it is actually waiting off and it's going to produce a bullish move at least back up into this 5-minute fair value gap. And those relative equal highs, hopefully. I'm going to look at what else we've got here. Got a 5-minute fair value gap here. I've got a recording running, so I'm going to start that again as well. So yeah, I've got a 5-minute fair value gap here. Want to see it get through that, move up into these relative equal highs. We can get up into whichever one comes last, essentially this 5-minute fair value gap or this high right here. We can get close to those relative equal highs and I'll wait for that. But essentially I don't want to take profit prior to this area. And if it can't get there, then that's fine. I'm not willing to take a partial. Dollar's been just moving higher. I had a buy side target for dollar for the AM session. Getting a higher time frame buy side target of that monthly fair value gap premium, which it's headed towards, which I actually took a trade against. I just want to look at what Dow is doing as well. Again, we had the AM lows down here that price has moved away from for now. Move through a 15-minute fair value gap. We'll want to see, can we make it back to this other one right here. And if we do, this will be essentially a part of leaving sell side for the PM session when FOMC comes in. So it'll be this high. I'll be looking to target. Just see if that wants to happen. I wasn't expecting this run up anyway, so really it can do anything at this point. I'm not too bothered. So I'm just going to end the stream here. It might take a while to either run through to the take profit or the stop loss. Just got FOMC coming up in the PM session as well, so likely just to remain in this range, and hopefully I can get the profit taken off at that point there. Wasn't expecting to run up there, like I said, but it has, and yeah, I got my limit orders in there. So if it hits this as well, I'll probably move to break even. But either way, even if I leave the stop loss open, that would still be in profit. So I'm just going to see what it does here, and yeah, I'm just going to end the stream. Cheers for watching, those 3 people who did.